we're back. Let me get, these are empty. Let me get rid of these. Yep, beer bottles clanking. Let's get another one. There we go. Got a little fridge here with beers in them. All right, so we're going to move on from that. Escape from that. Boom. And this is a story I saw the other day, and I wanted to use it in a previous video, but I never got the time to do it. So I wanted to kind of see what this was about as soon as we get past the ad. There we go. We're going to expand that and then come back. So we're going to move on, and this is going to be something that I saw the other day. Again, that, you know, I didn't watch it, but the title alone kind of grabbed me, and I'm going to see what this is about. So we've watched the videos from this channel before, and this guy does a pretty good job on his investigative work, and I want to see what this is about. So we are going to take this off and watch this video. Here we go. This is called When Faking a Mental Defect Ruins Your Life. So let's unmute it. Here we go.
Give me money and to get some eat.
This is Gary Thompson, the most mentally deficient man in the state of Kentucky. And before you call me ableist, it has nothing to do with his cognitive ability. This guy's just a complete idiot that can't stop getting in trouble.
Gary, I know what your deal is now. Let's just be real here, okay?
I'm not doing no deal. Leave me off camera. I don't want to be on it.
Arrest after arrest after arrest, this precious little beggar would have the world believe that he's a charity case, a sweet special needs angel that only the most jaded of passers-by could refuse opening their wallets for. Well, just know if you do, you're a sucker and his latest scam victim. This is the story of one of America's most shameless frauds. This
almost seems like it's a video about a Twitch streamer, Casey Tron, or any Twitch streamer, really, or YouTube streamer. I feel like this is just kind of like a documentary for any of those people.
Is the tale of the bogus beggar.
Yeah, I'm really good at it, really good. I clear about $100,000 a year doing this.
This literally could be about a YouTube or Twitch streamer, because they're literally begging every day and online for anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day, begging for money is what they do. So it's pretty similar.
Don't want to be on camera. I break it.
Investigators in Franklin County have arrested Gary Thompson on a rape charge.
And I got to go, y'all. I got to make some money.
Born in Austin, Texas, Gary's introduction to the world of disability came on the back of a Honda three-wheeler. As a kid, he suffered a serious injury riding one of these, an injury that left him with mild to moderate left-sided hemiparesis, which would affect him for life. His mother was able to sue Honda and actually won $2.5 million in a settlement because of this incident.
What?
Though partially handicapped and...
What? What? That's crazy. That's crazy. And the odds are he probably rode it dangerously and got an injury from it. So they sued the company gives them money. I literally have a piece here. You can't see it, but I have a piece here of metal that I got out of a Doritos bag. And I chewed on it and I chipped my tooth. Now, if I went and said, hey, emailed or called Doritos, say, hey, look, man, you chipped my tooth because you've got metal in your Doritos bag. I kept it because I'm just going to leave it here for a memento. I probably would have gotten, they probably would have just said, all right, we'll look at the bags. I kept the bag and everything for the allotment order on the bag. But I would have gotten nothing out of it. But this kid gets whatever, man. This shit's crazy. That's crazy.
Sometimes requiring a wheelchair to get around, Gary could in fact walk, and his cognitive abilities were intact. Well, sort of.
I'm so
Thanks
pissed
to
over
reckless spending, the settlement money would all but dry up during Gary's teenage years. And that's when a flair for criminality and fraud began to become apparent within him, with Gary stealing from his family members in various ways to get money, eventually leading him to be excommunicated from them entirely.
Thompson's uncle, Gary Horton, says his nephew has caused trouble since he was a teenager.
He forged 3 checks on me.
He says the family has given up on him.
He can go to no place, nowhere. He's run out of places to go.
After being kicked out, Gary would become a vagrant of sorts, traveling from state to state, begging strangers for money from the seat of his wheelchair. He barely scraped by this way, but relatively speaking, Gary did better than many of his panhandling cohorts. Being in a wheelchair gave him an inherent advantage in terms of evoking sympathy from strangers, and when Gary realized this, he came up with a dastardly plan to increase his bumming income. In his own words,
it is so unreal. It is. And there are people out there today who are struggling to survive that work 40 to 60 hours a week and can barely provide for their family. And you have jackasses like this out there just manipulating the system and pretending to be mentally disabled or disabled altogether. And they're making millions off of this. It's horrible to see these kind of things.
that
Horrible.
plan was to act mentally handicapped.
I am normal. It just helps to be mentally handicapped.
I got mental handicap and I'm working for my money. Please help, but found my wheelchair today and all my coins. Somebody take it.
Possessing a degree in speech pathology, yes, I'm being serious about that, Gary debuted his cartoonishly voiced and ridiculous special needs character on the streets of Lexington, Kentucky. And the payoff was almost immediate. The man began making thousands of dollars a month using the dopey voice coupled with his wheelchair and drawn-up appearance, tricking kind-hearted strangers into thinking that he was a stranded, mentally handicapped person who had lost his family and needed bus money to get back to them.
Well, I mean, people give people in wheelchairs money that are handicapped or just not act retarded anymore and get the money and just all be normal.
Gary's self-described retarded persona was so
And he drops the R word, of course. He has to throw that in there because, you know, everybody who's disabled is the R word. And it's not true. So there are plenty of people who are disabled who are not the R word. I'm disabled. I'm disabled. And I don't think I am the R word.
successful, he garnered a sycophantic entourage of lesser criminals who escorted him around from place to place, pushing their disabled kingpin's wheelchair like orderly servants. In the Kentucky panhandling scene, Gary was both village idiot and king of the hill.
Try to get to the restaurant.
It's said that Gary's mentally disabled character became so effective at soliciting money that in 1 year he had made over $100,000 off unwitting, kind-hearted individuals.
Wow. Wow. And what's the average income? Is something like 40 to 50,000. And this guy literally pulls in 100,000 a year, just rolling around in a wheelchair, pretending to be mentally disabled and disabled in general. And he makes twice or more what an able-bodied person makes. That is frustrating.
Yes, that's right. You're waking up at 7 a.m., bumper-to-bumper traffic on the way to work. Meanwhile, this guy is role-playing a mental disability and just cleared your net income for the year.
Yeah, I'm really good at it, really good.
Gary got away with this scheme undetected for several years, but given the
And he's so proud of it. Like, he's laughing. He's so proud of it.
absurd nature of this disabled act, it was only a matter of time before some folks got suspicious. Cracks began to show in the character as Gary became too comfortable in his handicap-accessible seat on the gravy train. When he thought people weren't looking, Gary sometimes would stand up unassisted from his wheelchair. Curious because he seemingly told strangers that he couldn't walk. And there were times that he could be seen conversing with associates using a completely different voice than the one heard when he was begging for money.
You were just talking
Members of the public had good reason to believe that Gary was a fraud, and folks began reporting him to the police. So many reports were submitted that cops would actually hold a press conference about the so-called bogus beggar in February of 2013, which drew a small crowd. And guess who was hanging around outside the conference building as this meeting was going on? Seemingly basking in the glory of his own infamy, Gary...
This sounds like an episode of Grand Theft Auto 5. Like if you ever watched some of those guys who just troll the roleplay servers of Grand Theft Auto, that's literally what this sounds like.
He was just hanging around outside, almost in spite of the public complaints about him. Yeah, it's like he was daring for someone to stand up to him, or, you know, maybe even wheel up to him. Reporters from local LEX 18 News who were present at the press conference about the beggar would do exactly that, spotting the special needs scammer and confronting him, exposing not only Gary's scheme in 4K, but also his shamelessness regarding what he was doing.
He says he makes $60,000 to $100,000 a year, and he admits he does so by tugging at your heartstrings.
Why that camera for?
Chances are you've seen him.
Try to get to the restaurant.
Sympathized with his wheelchair, his drawn hands,
man.
His story ripped at your heart.
Them give me money and to get some eat.
The wreck left him with limited mobility, but it certainly didn't make him mentally handicapped, and we knew better. You were just talking to me fine a second ago.
When?
Lexington police say he's taken his act on tour of the city to places like the Lansdowne Shops, Hamburg, and the Zandale corridor of Nicholasville Road. We busted this bogus beggar right outside the police department, just minutes after a press conference about him.
Best in Lex. I appreciate you guys busting me. Yeah, I'm really good at it, really good. I clear about $100,000 a year doing this.
100,000.
I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. He's extremely proud of this. He has no shame. He's not embarrassed by it. He's proud of it. I guess you could contribute that to the fact that he's made over $100,000 a year. He's making a ton of money, and he's not really doing anything. Meanwhile, there's people walking by him, maybe donating to him $1 or $2 or $5. They only make $40,000 or $50,000 a year, but work 40 to 50 hours a week, and they're tired. They can barely afford to eat, but they're giving him money because they think he's mentally handicapped. And this guy's bragging about it. Like, this guy is it's one of those people, and I don't condone this. I'm not suggesting somebody finds him and does this, but this is someone who needs to get their ass beat. Get their ass beat.
Yeah, about 60 to 100.
The 30-year-old said he's from Austin, Texas, and has done the same thing there. He also says he's got a degree in speech-language pathology. He's combined that training with his wheelchair and found that panhandling pays.
Ready to move to another city and start this?
No, I'm not. I'm just beginning.
And just like that,
My bead boy. I'm just playing. I gotta go, y'all. I gotta make some money.
he was back at it again.
Thanks to this scathing report, the bogus beggar quickly found himself becoming the most notorious disabled person in Kentucky. He found less panhandling success on the street in the time immediately following it. People would call him out. So Gary decided to lay low for a while and employ his scheme in different areas and venues until things cooled off a bit. The media caught back up with Gary after receiving a tip that he had skipped town and was shacked up in a hotel down in Glasgow, Kentucky. The man using the money previously earned from acting extremely disabled to finance the spot. ABC 13 reporter Melissa Warren went to investigate, finding Gary at the Happy Valley Inn. The pot-bellied panhandler was laid up looking well-fed and content in a hotel bed when the two spoke. And in this chat, Gary said he was done acting disabled, though, what do you know, he was lying.
We heard he was at the Happy Valley Inn, and sure enough, he was. So we asked him if the reports of his begging and pretending to be disabled were true.
We sued Honda of America for $2.4 million like years ago, but that money was gone after the market crashed, and then I was homeless. My mom has cancer, so then I had to panhandle to have a place to stay and to be able to eat.
Now, did you stop panhandling?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you say you haven't been doing that since you've been in Glasgow?
No, ma'am.
One hotel manager says that's not the case.
I've lost a lot of customers because they don't want to come here and be, you know, people bumming from them as soon as they walk out the door.
She says he's also threatened to sue her by having a wheelchair accident.
He turns it over right there at that Coke machine.
Why do you think he does that?
Because he's out to try to sue, because, you know, that's how he gets by in life, by suing people.
The neighboring grocery store says they've witnessed him begging there.
Been known to be outside in the parking lot begging people for money / wanting to use their phone, and he's even came in and personally asked me for some free food in the past.
And Adwell says he's good at what he does.
Imagine being so proud of this and doing things like this that you're doing an interview while laying in bed with a leg cast, and you're bragging about this and how much money you make, and then the whole fucking town knows about you. The whole town knows you. So how can you continue to make money if everybody knows that you're a fake? You've got to move on to another city, I would assume. And I would think that's how the rest of this story goes, because I think he's pretty much dragged this city for every dollar he can get.
I called him out by his name and let him know that I was aware of who he was, and he still didn't break character, so he does it fairly well.
Even if I were to panhandle, I couldn't say it because I just couldn't. Honestly, I'm the best in the world, though, the best panhandler in the world.
Yes, it appears after
the best panhandler in the world.
Leaving Lexington, Gary simply moved to a different region of the state and employed the same scheme on a new population that was less privy to his tactics.
There you go.
The guy was an absolute menace, and with flimsy laws regarding panhandling in Kentucky at the time, there was little to dissuade Gary from perpetrating his theatrics.
I'm the best in the world, though, the best panhandler in the world. I clear about $100,000 a year doing this. I gotta go, y'all. I gotta make some money. Sue Honda of America, $2.4 million.
Now, did you stop panhandling?
Yes, ma'am.
It seemed as if nothing could stop Gary, and the state of Kentucky would forever be forced to suffer at the crippled hands of the bogus beggar. That was until John Bowl enters the picture.
There had to be someone that interferes. Like, there has to be someone, right? And I think that's what we're going to find out from John Bowl, right? That someone has to pick up on this and say, you know what? We're going to broadcast this guy and let the whole world know how much of a piece of shit he is.
John Bowl.
John Bowl, Wave 3 News.
John Bowl.
John Bowl.
I'm John Bowl with Wave 3.
The bogus beggar became internationally infamous.
Get out of my face, John.
Okay.
John Bowl, who is retired these days, was a seasoned reporter who worked for WAVE News in Louisville, Kentucky. John was known for his skills as an on-the-ground investigative journalist and was no stranger to busting crooks and calling out corruption in the state. Witnessing the bogus beggar's unchecked rampage around Kentucky, John essentially became the Batman to this joker, making it his mission to expose Gary at every turn possible. He was quite successful at this venture, catching Gary multiple times lying about dropping the Panhandling Act.
So before this happened, he's already on camera, and there's already footage of him talking normally and bragging about how much money he's made. So why do we need an investigative journalist to go in? Like, it's already there. Like, what else do you need? Why do we have to continue with this? This should be some kind of federal crime.
Began personally documenting Gary and his disability grift in 2014. After receiving a tip indicating that Gary was unsurprisingly still begging for money, though this time in John's home turf of Louisville, Kentucky. John Bull took to the streets and secretly documented Gary's movements, catching him panhandling in front of stores and restaurants, and even standing up and walking rather effortlessly at times, drawing into question how much Gary even needed his wheelchair. But the most damning of his on-the-ground research to this point came in the form of a hidden camera confrontation of Gary by John. Gary was still using the disabled voice to get donos.
When he spotted a guy in a tie, he saw a potential payday. But it was me, wearing a hidden camera.
Please help, but spare my wheelchair today and all my coins. Somebody take it.
You fell out of your wheelchair today?
Yeah, mine need to get butt spare, get back home.
What's wrong with you?
Mine was hit by a truck when 9-year-old, but I know hurt that bad, just a little bit. Left side hemi precinct.
What is your name?
My name's Gary David.
Gary Davis?
Nice to meet you.
When I pulled out another camera, everything changed.
So I just did the math while that was going on. That's what I was looking down. Did the math. So $100,000 a year divided by 365 days a year. Let's do it again because I think I did it wrong the first time. $100,000 a year divided by 365. He'd have to make $274 a day. $274 a day. That's every day though. That's 7 days a week to make $100,000. So I don't know what the math would be if you did it with 5 days. I'd have to do that while we're watching the video, but here we go.
You're really Gary Thompson. Yeah. My name is John Bull with Wave. Been watching you. You're the guy, you're the bogus beggar guy that makes $100,000 a year, right? No. And you're able to change your voice? I've seen all the stories on you.
So I did the math, taking 2 days off. Let's say he did it 5 days a week and he took 2 days off a week. So 365 days minus 2 days a week brings it way down to like 261 or something like that. So we'd have to make $383 a day, almost $400 a day, to make $100,000 in a year. I find that highly illogical. I don't think that happened. I think he's lying about the numbers. $400 a day is a lot of money to get to panhandle. I feel like maybe he did $100, maybe $150. I don't know. It's just me.
That's a lie? No. I noticed your speech got a little bit better just now.
Not a lie. I never asked him nothing. I'm going to Churchill Downs.
Gary, I know what your deal is now. Let's just be real here, okay?
I'm not doing no deal. Leave me off camera. I don't want to be on it.
Is it true that you burned through $2.5 million in a motorcycle crash lawsuit?
Not burn. Don't want to be on camera. I break it.
Don't you feel bad doing this, faking it like this when there are real people out here?
I'm not faking nothing.
This report from John was particularly damning for Gary, as many in the public had believed the beggar had since moved on from using the, disgusting, exaggerated, mentally handicapped character, and they thought he stopped panhandling, only to find that he was still making thousands of dollars doing this bullshit. The report was shared amongst news stations around the state, and unlike before, it was now becoming pretty difficult to find a person on the street who was unaware of who Gary the bogus beggar was. The guys soon found it near impossible to find marks for his scam, and would get called out in public when he tried his act. Gary?
I would assume that would happen. Like, you can only do that for so long in your local area because there's only so many people that are going to donate and not recognize you after a while. So you have to move on to another area. Now, if he doesn't have the money or means to move on to another state or whatever, then he's limiting his scam. So how he could still make money from doing it is crazy. So he would have to move on to another state and do this. But it can only last so long.
He actually spoke to a man on the street around this time and threw a pity party for himself, whining about how nobody would give him money anymore, and also adding that he couldn't find a job. Yeah, I'm sure. Gary, Is the job application in the room with us now?
Every place I've been out there for a job, they don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah? So they've been calling you worse than a worthless POS?
Tell me they wanted to burn me with gasoline if I didn't leave their town.
So don't say any cuss words, but that's pretty bad. Yeah. Don't you realize that you really should leave town?
I don't have any money.
Yeah, well, you've made it this far without it.
Well, I'm not going to ask anyone for any money.
Yeah, okay.
Things only got worse for Gary, as he was slowly being made to deal with the consequences of his public fleecing in a legal capacity. The man often found himself in courtrooms, and even here he utilized his disabled character. This recording shows a judge doubling a fine issued at Gary after she realized that he was faking the special needs voice in her courtroom to gain sympathy.
I also understand, based on the interviews that I watched you speak in, that when you wish to speak in a clear, understandable voice, you do so. The voice you used with me this morning was a voice that I feel certain you were trying to garner sympathy from this court by indicating that you maybe had a mental condition that did not permit you to speak clearly.
The bogus beggar's legal...
Seeing him in an orange jumpsuit was very rewarding. So this guy got arrested, of course, and he's in jail. Not prison, but jail. And to see that he succumbed to his stupid actions and in an orange jumpsuit with chains on him was hilarious. But he's still doing the limp. He's still doing the limp, and the judge called him out.
The situation would only worsen. The man was arrested multiple times throughout 2014 for infractions related to his begging misadventures, and would begin to rack up a laundry list of fines and misdemeanor charges. But being a fraud and faking mental disability is really only scratching the surface of what this piece of shit was up to in 2014. This guy is truly something else.
Tonight, a man accused of trying to swindle people around the state is facing more serious charges.
A grand jury indicted Gary Thompson, this time on a rape charge. Victor Puente has more on this latest charge.
Ooh. Frankfort police say the victim in this case actually has an intellectual disability, unlike the man charged with rape who's admitted to faking one.
On February 11th, 2014, it was reported that Gary had befriended a mentally disabled woman and allegedly raped her. According to the State Journal publication, the woman allegedly invited him to her apartment, claiming Gary had sexual intercourse with her until she claimed he was hurting her and she had to push him off. When the victim was interviewed, police officers quickly made the distinction that the woman suffered from a mental disability and they believed that she was incapable of giving consent. Gary...
Oh my God, dude. Like, how this is getting worse. This is getting worse as we go along. And I can't believe people live like that. I can't believe there are people out there. Strike that. I do believe there are people out there like that and have mental issues, but because I find it hard to believe because I don't do things like that. And I'm sure you don't. And it's like, how do people exist and do things like this? It's frustrating.
Gary Thompson was later charged with third-degree rape, and in May of 2015, he pled guilty. But by then, the charge had been reduced down to sexual misconduct, so he was back on the streets in no time. Back on two wheels again, Gary eagerly hit the streets, likely chomping at the bit to talk like a dopey Looney Tunes character for cash. But unfortunately for our mentally deficient fraud, his brazen and illegal activity in local Kentucky had attracted the gaze of America's own Eye of Sauron, the FBI.
I clear about $100,000 a year doing this.
The feds became quite interested in Gary. While investigating him, they found that he had not only been panhandling and sexually assaulting locals, but had also been defrauding the government as well. The FBI alleged that from 2009 to 2013, Gary misrepresented the nature of his disability in order to receive supplemental security income, a form of Social Security money that's divvied out to a specific cohort of those with disabilities. Apparently, he was playing his up to fit that description.
Please help but spare
I am normal. It just helps to be mentally handicapped.
As a result of this fraud, Gary would be arrested and later pled guilty in March of 2016 to falsely
Bogus beggar who feigned a mental disability by contorting his face and using a fake stutter pleads guilty to duping charges after he claims he raked in $100,000 a year. Gary Hank Thompson had been duping shoppers into giving him money for 4 years before being caught. He says he earned as much as $100,000 annually and also scammed $81,831 in Medicaid benefits. Thompson pleaded guilty Wednesday of failing to report income and misrepresenting charges. He is already serving a 14-month sentence for passing a bad check and 7 months for assaulting a corrections employee.
Presenting his mental condition
Yikes.
in order to collect over $106,000 in Medicaid and disability benefits. Because of this, Gary would no longer be sitting fat in a Happy Inn hotel room. Rather, he was sentenced to a prison cell, spending close to 3.5 years behind bars. And with that, the bogus beggar had finally been stopped. At least that's what you might think.
Give me money and to get some eat.
Immediately after being released from prison, Gary got back to his scheming ways, hitting the ground rolling, the wheels spinning on his wheelchair as he got right back to panhandling and using the offensive fake disabled voice.
Whenever I ask you for money, I won't act mental.
Why isn't that camera for?
Whenever I ask you for money, I won't act mental.
Whenever I ask you for money, I won't act mental. Whenever I ask you for money, I won't act mental.
Why isn't that camera for?
I'll just not act retarded anymore and get the money and just I'll be normal.
Seeing the scammers return, Gary's arch nemesis, reporter John Bull, would return to the streets, seeking to bust the beggar yet again, and prove the crook had learned nothing from his time in federal pen. In a stroke of luck, John happened to spot Gary in the act at a Louisville gas station, and he would stake out the position for a time before confronting the beggar, like Chris Hansen pulling up on a pizza-munching pedophile.
Yep, that's Gary Thompson right there. I've been following him around Louisville where he's doing the same thing. Same spots, same stores, same routine. So I went undercover and walked by him, working people for money at these gas pumps.
Mine was like a big red and $2 for bunch.
What an idiot. Like, so you get caught doing this, you go to prison, you go through court trials, you're held accountable for it, he gets released, and he goes right back to doing the same thing. Like, I get it. Like, you're trying to find a way to get income. Now you're a criminal. So your background is going to prevent you from getting, I don't know, several jobs. So you want to find a way to make money, but you want to go back to doing the same thing that got you arrested in the first place? Like, how stupid are you? And you've already milked this area. So how are you going to make money? We just did the math. You got to make $383 a day to make $100 grand a year.
$2 for bus fare?
$1.50 there and $1.50 back, so that makes $2, right? $1.50 and $1.50. How much that equals?
$3?
Yeah. The Mental Disability Act changes when he recognizes who he's talking to.
Are you Gary?
Are you John Bull?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Gary.
So I pull out another camera again.
That you're still faking your condition, embellishing your condition.
Sir, I'm not conditioned.
When I first walked up on you, you kind of had your...
He looks absolutely rough. He's got like skin blemishes and all this shit going on. And I don't think that's part of the act. I just think this guy's poor now. But he's literally got a horrible looking act going on here. Sound. Why did it mute? Hold on. Why did it mute?
And then starts having physical problems right there.
That's a muscle spasm, John.
Your what?
That's a muscle spasm.
You just had a muscle spasm?
Yes, sir. I can walk a little bit, John.
He shows me his physical problems, but I keep going back to his intellectual ability.
What do you say to people who say you didn't learn anything in prison, you're still faking your condition?
They're liars. I'm not faking any condition.
But isn't that what you were convicted of faking your condition with getting government money?
That's I pled guilty, yes.
Yeah.
I'm not faking any condition. My left side is paralyzed.
You saw the videotape like over in Lexington where you're laughing about it and you're saying, yeah, I make $100,000 a year, I can change my voice, which we've seen you do.
But I am disabled, so I'm mentally and physically.
So how long have you been in Louisville?
About a month now.
About a month? What are you going to do next?
Try to get a job somewhere and do the right thing and straighten my life up.
Sure.
I'm homeless. I'm not a bogus beggar. I don't have anything. I wasn't bogus before. That's all I have to say to you. Have a good day.
Okay.
But this battle of words between John and Gary was simply a warm-up, and their feud would continue, with John relentlessly documenting the antics of the beggar. Despite saying he was going to get a job and clean his life up.
What are you going to do next?
Try to get a job somewhere and do the right thing and straighten my life up.
Gary continued fucking up. An update from John sometime later.
But Gary Thompson didn't straighten his life up. For all the people who've asked me whatever happened to the bogus beggar, I discovered he...
I like how the host was like, but Gary did not, and he continued fucking his life up.
Wound up jailed here at Metro Corrections for most of this year after a stabbing melee at a 3rd Street apartment. The police report charging him with 2 counts of assault notes in an argument over some cigarettes that reminded him of an 8-ball of cocaine and $65 he lost earlier, Thompson struck the victim with his fist, stood up from his wheelchair and attempted to stab victim 1. Victim number 2 was also stabbed in the torso. Then Thompson stabbed himself, saying he wanted to die. In July, he pleaded guilty, got probation, got back out on the streets of Louisville.
Okay, so we got to stop right there. So all that was going on, stabbing, is attempted murder, in my opinion, but he got probation. Attempted murder with a deadly weapon, numerous charges, but he got sentenced to probation. Just probation. And he's back out on the fucking street. So it not only is it this guy's problem, but it's the court's problem. This guy should have been put in prison. Not jail, but prison. He attempted murder more than once, and you put him back out on the streets. This is our fucking country. Our country.
And I immediately started getting complaints ranging from the same old act to an attempted jewelry theft at a local mall.
Thanks to John's reporting, it was clear to see that this guy likely wasn't capable of reform. He would continue his fraudulent panhandling, criminal misconduct, and illicit shenanigans with seemingly no end in sight. But thankfully, with him being exposed and made infamous, these acts were becoming harder and harder for him to perpetrate. The party was coming to an end. The final boss battle between John and the bogus beggar occurred a couple of years ago, with a downtrodden Gary being confronted by John one last time. And what typically plays out in a war of words this time becomes physical.
Are you John Bull?
Yes.
You got a hidden camera?
Hey, Gary. When I come back with a cameraman, Thompson is perturbed.
Do you know why people would be calling me to complain about you?
I think I have an idea.
You have an idea?
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm homeless and I'm hungry.
You're homeless and hungry?
And I ask for food, yeah. And I ask for money for food. Yes. Do that in my face, John.
This guy looks rough. He looks absolutely rough from the previous videos. And he's, of course, being aggressive. And I know you got a reporter in his face. And these two have a dispute. Good versus evil. But this guy looks awful.
Okay, so part of the complaints are that you're doing this mentally ill thing again.
Mentally ill? I'm sure what I'm going to do to you, John.
What's that?
I'm sure what I'm going to do to you, John.
He does the hand thing. Look, he's doing the hand thing where he's pretending to be mentally disabled. It is so awful. Jesus Christ, dude. That's awful.
John had gotten the better of Gary. His panhandling schemes and unhinged nature now fully exposed to the public. It's with this that the journalist considered his work with the beggar complete. It's important to remember that it's mostly because of John's relentless pursuance of this criminal that the bogus beggar's activities came to light at all. The citizens of the state of Kentucky really are eternally in this reporter's debt for relieving them of Gary's nuisance panhandling persona. John Bull has recently retired from media, leaving behind a legacy of exposing dozens upon dozens of fraud.
And kudos to this guy right here. Kudos to him for kind of going after him and making vigilante videos against this guy, to the point where he gets the guy to just stand up out of his wheelchair and pretty much, prove that he's not disabled, right? So kudos to this guy, and we love that kind of thing.
Odds and making Kentucky a better place for everyone that lives there.
Just a few more minutes now until I end my news career after more than 40 years in broadcast journalism.
We're so excited to have him around us.
Yeah, so you can see I have a lot to live for, right?
Yeah.
And I happen my dad and my sister, and we're going to have so much fun. Didn't we have fun ice fishing?
And look at how many lives you have impacted, lives and careers. You have been a part of so many lives and touched so many people.
Thank you. Thanks to everybody, man. I never expected anything like this.
John's scorned nemesis, as you might expect, cannot claim such a happy ending to his story. As recently as October 4th of 2024, Gary Thompson was arrested and charged with 1 count of disorderly conduct and 2 counts of making terroristic threats after being involved in what has been described as a knife fight.
Yeah, 40-year-old Gary Thompson was arrested by Paintsville police Saturday, charged with trespassing, solicitation, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. Police say Thompson fakes mental and physical disabilities.
When police arrived on scene, they found Gary screaming profanities. When officers attempted to detain him, Gary allegedly threatened to kill these officers when he got out of jail. While I'm unable to ascertain if Gary is locked up or what exactly he's doing right now, I'd like to point you to this mosaic. A collection of mugshot images taken of Gary over the years as a result of his criminal exploits. There's a lot going on here. Time after time after time, this man has been arrested, lightly punished, and warned to cut the crap. Gary never changes. He will continue to exploit, defraud, and lie his way back to jail, likely even to prison again. And while Gary has fallen further into obscurity in recent years and his act is pretty much over, no Kentuckian will ever forget the notorious tale of the bogus beggar.
Yeah, I'm really good at it, really good. I'm the best in the world, though, the best panhandler in the world. I am no...
And that's brutal. That's brutal. And these are the few times where... so as a human being, you should not wish the worst on people. Just let karma do what it does, right? But in these instances, like this particular guy, I think it's okay to wish the worst on them. Not death, but wish the worst. And I think this guy is in that situation where he is absolutely at the worst point of his life, and there's nothing he can do to fix it. He's got felony charges, he has a criminal record, he has no job history, and this guy's been called out by everybody. So the only thing he can really do is move several states away and try the same thing again, which will end up in the same result. This guy tried to bypass working as a human citizen like everybody else and make money the easy way by faking it. So hopefully this guy ends up desolate and has nothing for the rest of his life.